Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the test weekend that we've had on the new True Vision system. So before we go into this is all my opinion. Obviously I'm not a fan of it myself. A lot of people might be. But I've seen mixed reviews from a lot of people. But me personally, I'm not a fan. And we're going to go into why by first looking through some clips. So before we go into this game, let's jump into the clips. So what is the True Vision system? Well, what they've done is remove the draw distance or the render range so you can just see across the whole map. And that means you can shoot up to 720 meters at people that are, because of the True Vision system, now always spotted. So at first it was novel, because I could do stuff like this. Like I was just looking in the normal spot where TDs might be hiding, and I spotted an artillery piece. And that was like, oh, okay, he's gone. You know, we can see people that are invisible, so you can check before you move on to new positions. You could see where camping TDs could be. Now, at first it was kind of novel because it was like, oh, this is a new thing. This is quite cool because I can do all this. But the more and more I played it, the more I started to dislike it because the more I started to think about the implications of it. So where that griller was, oh, and here we go. I'm just looking up to where there might be something camping at the back of the base, and lo and behold, the other artillery. So the implications of it are that TDs that are, say, paper, will not be able to hide from you. So the maps like this, where there is no foliage, they will not be able to hide and keep firing at you from safe distances. Because as soon as one fires at you, you instantly will start to look at where they could be. And whereas before, yeah, sure, you could see the shell tracers, right? That meant you could range in to see where they were. So, like, see that E25? I saw the gun flash. And it was like, ah. And then I saw the silhouette of the E25 just behind the bush. So you see there, look. Now, that there is one thing I don't like. And that is when you shoot someone, they get spotted for 2 seconds. If you shoot someone blind, it should be like the old mechanics, where only you know that you shot them blind. Because it's a bit unfair to those that like that E25. Obviously, I know the E25's got good camo and stuff, but it's unfair that he should be hiding behind a bush, and the fact that someone's seen him just out the corner of their eye, like that gun flash I saw out the corner of my eye. I shot him, and therefore he became spotted to everyone for 2 seconds, and people shot at him. To me, it's a disadvantage to those paper TDs that have to sit and snipe, because, like, say a bullsig can't go and brawl on the front line. It's not very quick, so it can't get places very fast. All it's got is that sniping ability. Now, with the render range change as well, it does kind of benefit those TDs as well. Now, I will be fair to that. It does kind of benefit those TDs as well, like the Swedish TDs as well, because they can sit further back from the action and still see things in the distance to shoot at, so they're further away, which is useful to them because they can stay further away from the action and they're not going to have tanks that are within breathing space of spotting them. But like I say, to those that have got wary eyes, as soon as they get shot by a TD, it'll pop up, say, with a little marker, and they'll look in that direction, and they'll probably see where the tank is, because they'll be all eagle-eyed and be trying to spot you. And if you're to fire again, the gun flash gives you away. Straight away, they see where you are. I feel like it's a disadvantage because there's a lot of times as well There's positions which are very good for sitting just outside of people's spotting range, and that means that they can sit and fire at you. But there's no foliage and there's no coverage on those areas. They're just ridge lines, pretty much. And unfortunately, that now means that they can't actually use those positions, because as soon as you get somewhere, like that guy, we can see him. Obviously, the gun flash gave him away. But that position is quite a good one, because where we are now, we won't spot him. He'd be able to, in normal mechanics, basically sit there and fire at us all without getting spotted, because he's using his camo net, probably. He's using the camo values of his tank to sit and fire at us and use his gun. Now, sure, yeah, we could see his shell tracers beforehand and we might get wise to it, right? But that leaves that guy at disadvantage, because there's not many other places he can go. He is screwed by that. He's screwed by this mechanic because he can't use that position. And I feel like that's unfair. Because, well, he's using his tank to how he's been taught to play this game over the past however long, 7 years he's been playing, possibly. Who knows how long he's been playing. So it's such a core game mechanic that it's a weird one to change, because there's not really much wrong with the current spotting mechanics in camo. It's a fairly complex system, but if you learn how to use it, you can use it to great benefit to yourself and your team. So now this clip that I'm showing you is basically the difference in what it would have been like, well, what it's like now, what it would have been like if they implemented it permanently. This guy got unspotted. So right now he's like, okay, I'm safe. But no, he's not, because I can see him. So it kind of just devalues the point of using your camo. Like, obviously that guy is in the open and he didn't really think about using his camo. But it devalues the point of using it. Because he got unspotted, it didn't matter, because I knew where he was and I could still shoot him. Which I don't like, because I feel like that's just a massive disadvantage to anything that could be crossing at any point. And you could say, yeah, okay, you could have still shot him anyway if he'd disappeared, because you still knew where he was. But quite frankly, he could have moved forwards and dodged the shots, or he could have moved backwards. I wouldn't have known. But with that vision system, I could see it. Which left him in a heap of problems. And that takes us on to the next clip, for which, by the way, I play terribly. But yeah, besides the bad gameplay, this is me and the Becky Lynch. And I'm in a bad spot. I am about to die. Look how much health I've got. That Vanguard tries to get, we get some lucky shots. But I'm seeing this HWK, and right now I've got unspotted, so I'm thinking, crap, he could YOLO me and I'd die, same as the Vanguard. But I'm unspotted, so it's time to get away. Blap. We're gone. Balsig sees us on the retreat because he can still see us, and we can't get away. And that is an annoyance, because that means that you can't use your camo to get away from situations that you might have got stuck in. You basically, if you get caught out, you get stuck. And you might have to use cover and just stay there, because they will just hard aim you for the most part, unless they get bored. And that brings in a problem. If you end up getting caught out, what can you do? Nothing. Obviously, you can make mistakes which gets you caught out. Which, fair enough. If you make a mistake and you get caught out, you deserve to be punished. Pushing into a stupid place. Like I got pushed. I pushed into a stupid place, lost most of my health, which was stupid. But then I got unspotted and used the mechanics the way we've been taught how to play it. Sure, we'd have to adjust. But what's the point in having the camo if I'm in a fat light tank like the Becky and can be seen? So this is another point another point to a reason that I don't like it. These guys have just left their spawn. They've literally moved one square. I spotted that Type 4 heavy out, I see the mouse chin. But then I see a black prince. Now I can't pen the mouse chin, but I can sure pen the black prince. And look at this poor guy. He's literally moved a square from his spawn. And we can just shoot him with impunity. Sure, they could see us at a distance, but they're far easier to see than we are. And we can just farm him. And in just the first 30 seconds or so, he's dead. He couldn't do anything to prevent that. All he did is leave his spawn and go try to get to a flank to play on it. And that mouse chin basically got shot at and realised that he couldn't get away from the position he's in. So he just drove at us. Because he had to put his armour towards us so we couldn't pen him. So out of just leaving the spawn, those guys were kind of screwed. And it's something that I don't like. It's part of the reasoning that I really just don't like the fact that we are always seen. Now the render range changes, I kind of like. I'd like to see the render range tested, with the render range limit gone, without the ability to just see people all the time. Because positions like this, here on Lakeville, become quite good. Because it means we don't have to worry about the render range. Because normally we wouldn't be able to shoot down there. Unless we moved up further on to where this Andre's going. Normally, like that stockade, we won't be able to shoot him normally. But this is the bad point, because like Lakeville, if you want to play the town for both this side and the other side, you have to go down these two roads, down the K line or down the A line. Now, if you get anyone that purchases up as a sniper, say for them at G4, or like where we are right now, you can't cross that road without taking punishment for the most part. Now, this was the only game I played on Lakeville, so I didn't get to test it that much. But from what people I've talked to have said, this has happened a fair bit, where only 2 or 3 tanks have gone towards a town. I mean, it happens anyway, but it seems to be a thing where just people aren't bothering because they know they'll get spotted, or they won't even have to be spotted by a light tank. They'll just be seen crossing and they'll get shot at. So they've gone to the valley. So like that crossing, we could see that stockade. The Andre didn't get spotted until he got round the corner. The Andre didn't even spot him. We just knew he was there because we could see him crossing. And that's such a massive advantage. I mean, that's an advantage to those paper TDs, okay? And the fact that they can see that guy crossing and can shoot him. But as soon as he gets into cover, he can see and shoot them. But by the time he's got to that cover, he's probably dead. Let's be serious, he's probably dead. Because if there's the normal amount of stuff that sits here and fires at them, they'll have lost a lot of health. So, here's another map. Mountain Pass. This is the crossing that can be dangerous even without these vision changes if a light tank decides to spot it. But with these changes now, they can see me crossing very easily. Like, I'm already getting shot at. I've already barely made the crossing. Now you're going to see some of the best driving you'll have ever seen in your life, because that's typically me. I am a great driver on this game. But like, these guys can shoot at me without me ever being spotted. So there we go. This is the first time I've been spotted by that light tank, and now I can get shot at. And the one thing I didn't realise, because I think I played this earlier on in the day, and you're probably going to see that clip next, is that I'm shooting these guys down here because I'm thinking, what? Wait, these guys, I'm getting shot. What am I getting shot at by? Those guys there, on that hill, right, they can shoot anybody crossing here on our spawn. If they're crossing against the back wall right against it, I don't think they can. I don't think they have the range. But they're 618 metres away, so there's still 100 metres. No, actually they can shoot you. So that's a disadvantage to this south spawn already. This south spawn will get shot at by the sniper hill, who can see you crossing easily. But the north spawn can get away with it, because our sniper spawn can't see them. Now this is where maps like Lakeville and this map will probably need great reworks, and to be fair, most of them need reworks. I mean, reworks are in the pipeline. because reworks were needed. Anyway, like Fisherman's Bay and Proc have been reworked. But there'd be a lot that needs changing to cover positions like that, so you can actually get to flanks and be effective. Because what's going to happen with this mountain pass is that people are going to just push down the ice road from South Spawn, because it's way too risky and way too damaging to people's games to go this way that I'm going now when this is stone cold. So the North Spawn is probably going to have a few people to hold them up on the ice road, because you can use those ridge lines too effectively to keep people back down the ice road from the North Spawn, because that's a disadvantaged flank from the South Spawn to attack the North Spawn. This flank I'm on is the best spawn to attack through and go across the bridge, kind of. But that means that the enemy team from the North Spawn can have a few tanks that stop people pushing up that ice road, and then they can just flank round and get behind. Dead easy. And that just disadvantages the South Spawn. So as you're seeing here, I've got into this position now, again, and I can see across there, and I can see up onto their sniper hill, and I can shoot them all. Now that's great. If you make it here without losing too much health, you can get shots at them. Like, I was trying to shoot that VK at distance, and this gun isn't the most accurate, so I was missing quite a lot. Because that is one thing, that if you've got an inaccurate gun, shooting at those distances really feel the accuracy of how bad it can be. So on to the next clip. And this one, you've just missed me do something completely stupid, and that was YOLO a machine to try out the Becky's HE rounds on the Butford machine. But I never quite got round. He set me on fire. I lost a lot of health. Now, the Snakebite perk and Becky is great, because you can hit so many shots on the move with Becky. It's fantastic. So we know, in this clip, where the LHMTV is. We know there's a TD with him as well. So all we're going to do is watch the bushes. Now, I am kind of in the open, so he could see me, sure. But I can see him moving behind that bush. So I know he's there. So I'm trying to pop shots in. Obviously, I'm not going to be that accurate. So like I say, you can just see the movements, and we're just trying to put the shots in to see if we can hit him. And then, at one point, there we go, we see the gun flash. As soon as we see the gun flash of him firing, we know he's there. Shoot him, he gets spotted for a second. And that tells everybody where he is, which, again, I'm not a fan of. I've said it before in this video, I'm not a fan of that. The gun flash is something that if they were to do this test again, they'd have to remove. They'd have to make it so that you can't see the gun flash of tanks that aren't spotted, because it gives them away. Like, the LHMTV is sat way out of spotting range there. He's realised he's getting shot in the bush because I knew he was in the bush, so he's moved out to find another position to try and shoot me. And I've just seen him out in plain sight and shot him. But again, he's just using his camo and not getting spotted, and I can still punish him. So that's something you're going to see a little bit more in this game. Now, this is the rest of the full game of what we started off with. Okay, we're in the Huntsman and we're on Proc. Now, you can see what we did with that Conqueror. We could see him going up and over the tracks. Now, like I was saying earlier on, it can be, this always spotted thing can be good for the plain and simple fact that you can see down a line, and you can see that, you know what, there's tanks over there that might need spotting if I'm on a light tank, so I can go spot them up. Or you can see that it's clear, so there's nothing camping on the train tracks, and you think, now I can push and not get shot at. But the whole point of that is, beforehand with the camo and spotting system, is that you were supposed to sort of use your brain and try and assess whether it's any good. So right there, we're demonstrating pretty much the spotting. We could see that guy, but he was at like 800 meters, so we couldn't shoot him. He was way too far away. And right there, the Waffle Panzer IV shot at us. Okay, and we could just see the front end of his tank through the bush because he hadn't quite pulled back. And this guy's using the bushes. Again, if this was pre-test, we wouldn't have been able to shoot this guy. We wouldn't have been able, well, we would have been able to shoot him, but we wouldn't have been able to see him. Artillery there. Artillery fired at us, and we saw the big smash bloom of the artillery firing. So it was like, oh, there's Artie. Shot at him. Because we can see the muzzle flash, or the, you know, the big smoke and fiery blasts. And like that Waffle Panzer IV, because I shot him a couple of times and lit him up for 2 seconds, people knew he was there. So as soon as he was lit up like that, people started shooting him. He's still there, look. He's now spotted, actually spotted, and he can get shot at. But that guy was using his camo, like he's been taught to. And see, look, he's used his camo, he's gotten spotted, he's trying to back out, because it's not the quickest tank in the universe, the Waffle Panzer IV. He's trying to back out after using his camo, and he can't, and he's dead. He tried to use the existing spotting mechanics camo to try and keep safe, and that paper TD couldn't do it on a map that should be okay for him. And it's a reason that I don't like it, because it limits a lot of classes. It's very good for mediums and heavies, or should I say mobile heavies, depending on the map, because for slow heavies they can get caught out like that Black Prince did. But for mediums especially, it's good because the mediums are quick enough to get to good positions. They've got good enough guns, good enough DPM, good enough accuracy for the most part, that they can really make use of the fact that everyone's spotted and get good shots off early at loads of people. Heavy tanks can be okay as well because of having the armour, that if they get seen, they can bounce stuff. So this is where I kind of like the render range, but I don't like the fact that they can always be spotted. Because we can shoot that guy from here. Now I kind of like that, because it gives more avenues for shooting. Say for light tanks, that could be good, because they can light something up 700 or 600 metres away from you, and you can give them assistance and keep by shooting them, where you previously couldn't have seen them, so you couldn't shoot them. So that's where I kind of feel like I want to see the render range removed as a test, but without the fact that we can see these guys all the time. Because it'd be nice to see. Because it'd be, like I say, it'd be good for tanks like the Swedish TDs and the paper TDs and the things that need to be able to snipe, because they don't have any armour and their benefit is their gun. So the longer ranges would be good for them because they'd be more effective for them. And like I say, they'd be out of the sort of line of sight as much for getting smashed. Like right now, Swedish TDs, for the most part, get spotted quite a lot and get wrecked. Because all they've got is good guns and good DPM as well as good camo, but the camo doesn't quite work, which is why we need the map reworks. And this brings me on to it. Obviously, the map reworks are in the pipeline, which they're doing, like Prokhorovka, like Fisherman's Bay. Because they've got more foliage, it helps tanks that need to use the camo a lot more to be effective. But like I say, if you're taking away the fact that they can't be unspotted anymore, well, they can be unspotted, but the fact that you can just see them anyway, it just disadvantages them again. And the things that you're working towards with these map reworks just hampers them down again. So for me, true vision isn't a thing I like. I'm not a fan of the always being spotted. The render range, sure, I'd like to see that tested again, like I've said many times now. That'd be quite a good thing to test. But yeah, it's not for me. I just don't see why we're changing a game mechanic that isn't broken in the first place and doesn't need changing. But that's my opinion. It might be different to you guys. You guys might enjoy it. I certainly don't, personally. But that's the way it is. That's why they do these tests, isn't it? So we can get a grip, we can test something out, and we can see if it'd work. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. And for me, it doesn't. Some things kind of do, but some things definitely don't. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.